A former Lion might arrive, a Giants player is available, and the Bears stadium just took a crippling blow. ESPN connects the dots, pass rushes are on the move, and Pritzker crushes dreams. It's all happening now, and it's going to change Chicago's course forever. If you leave, you'll miss the biggest bombshell of the summer. Let's start with something that's been on my mind since yesterday, and I want you to understand exactly why this suggestion from ESPN gives me such mixed feelings. Yowan Reeves-Maybin is not just any linebacker. We're talking about someone who was named second-team All-Pro as a special team specialist in 2023, the best in his position in the entire NFL. But let me paint you the full picture. Reeves-Maybin came to Detroit as a fourth-round pick in 2017 from Tennessee. The early years were tough, but he found his niche on special teams and as a coverage linebacker. In 2021 and 2022, he really began to shine, piling up tackles in coverage, forcing fumbles, and becoming that speed piece every special teams coordinator dreams of having. We arrive at 2023, and that's when he totally exploded. League leader in special teams tackles with 21, 2 forced fumbles, and a coverage performance that led the Lions to give him a 3-year, $10.5 million deal. That's serious money for a specialist. But what happened next? Here's the problem that's got me worried. A neck and shoulder injury devastated him in 2024. He played only 4 games before being placed on injured reserve. 4 games of a full season, folks. And when he came back, he wasn't the same explosive player who had dominated the previous year. The Lions, who know his body better than anyone, after 7 seasons, decided not to renew him and bet on Grant Stewart, who is 25 years old compared to Reeves-Maybin's 28. Detroit saw the future and decided it didn't include their former special teams star. Now, why would Ben Johnson want to bring him to Chicago? First, the connection is obvious. Johnson was in Detroit when Reeves-Maybin had his best season. He knows exactly how to use him, what packages work, how to maximize his 4.4 speed and coverage .second, and this is important. Richard Hightower desperately needs playmakers on special teams. Last year we were mediocre in coverage, had troubles on punt return, and our kickoff coverage was inconsistent. Reeves-Maybin, even at 80% capacity, is still better than what we had. But here comes my dilemma, and I want you to help me solve it. We already have 9 linebackers on the roster. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards are absolute starters. That's clear. Ruben Hippolyte, too, was our 4th-round pick, the future. Noah Sewell showed promising flashes. Eamon Adbon-Bamiga has potential. Carl Jones comes from a solid practice squad season. Where does Reeves-Maybin fit into all this? He's not going to displace Edmonds or Edwards. He's not big enough to play strong side linebacker. His value is 100% on special teams and specific coverage situations on defense. The real question is this: is it worth using a roster spot on someone whose main value is on special teams when we already have young players who could develop those same skills? I think if Ryan Poles is seriously considering this, he has to make one of 2 moves. Either cut someone like Swayze Bozeman or Power Echols to make room, or structure Reeves-Maybin's contract as incentive heavy, where he earns extra money for special teams performance. My honest prediction: this isn't going to happen. We have too much depth at linebacker, and Poles will prefer to develop young talent rather than bet on a veteran with a recent history of serious injuries. But if I'm wrong, if Reeves-Maybin comes to Chicago and regains that 2023 form, then we'll have one of the best special teams units in the NFL. It's a calculated risk that could pay huge dividends. And now we arrive at the news that truly has me excited and worried at the same time. Because what's happening in New York is a once-a-decade opportunity, and if Ryan Poles doesn't act fast, it will be the biggest mistake of his career as a general manager. Let me explain exactly how we got here. The New York Giants ended with the 5th worst record in the NFL in 2024, giving them the 3rd overall pick in the draft. With that pick, they selected Abdul Carter from Penn State, who many analysts consider the best prospect in the entire draft. But here's the problem for New York. They already have Brian Burns, who they signed for $141 million in 2024, and Kayvon Thibodeau, who was their 5th overall pick in 2022. 3 elite edge rushers for 2 positions. Something has to give, and that something is Thibodeau. And why is Thibodeau the one sacrificed and not Burns? Simple. Money. Burns already has his mega contract guaranteed. Thibodeau is in the last year of his rookie deal and will need an extension after 2025. The Giants, who are in rebuilding mode with Jackson Dart as their quarterback of the future, prefer the draft capital they can get for Thibodeau. Now let's analyze what kind of player we're talking about. Thibodeau came from Oregon with impressive pedigree. In his 3 seasons in New York, he has accumulated numbers any defensive coordinator will kill for: 127 total tackles, 26 quarterback hits, 21 sacks. His best season was 2023, 11.5 sacks, 17 quarterback hits, 69 tackles. Pro Bowl numbers, folks. Last year, he dropped to 5.5 sacks, but maintained 17 QB hits and 51 tackles in a defense that completely collapsed around him. You know which number impresses me the most? Pro Football Focus gave him a pass rush grade of 72, ranking him 35th out of 211 edge rushers evaluated. That puts him in the top 20% of the entire league. We're talking about a player who is already producing at an elite level at 24 years old. And how would he fit into our defense under Dennis Allen? Perfectly. Allen has coordinated defenses that constantly use rotations on the defensive line. Imagine this scenario: Montez Sweat on one side, Thibodeau on the other, with Dayo Odeyingbo rotating to keep everyone fresh. In 3rd down and long situations, Allen could put all 3 on the field at the same time, moving Odeyingbo inside to create a NASCAR package that would terrify quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, all would have nightmares facing that pressure. But here's the part that worries me, and I want to be completely honest with you. Acquiring Thibodeau will cost. First, we have to give up draft capital. ESPN suggests the Giants are asking for a second-day selection, probably a 2nd or 3rd round. Second, and this is crucial, Thibodeau is going to want money. Edge rushers of his caliber are signing contracts of $20 to $25 million per year. Do we have that salary cap space? Ryan Poles will need to work financial magic. Here are my approximate numbers. Sweat is earning $24 million. On average, Odeyingbo $12 million. If we give Thibodeau $22 million, we'd be spending almost $60 million on 3 players. It's a lot of money, but it's also potentially a defensive line that could take us to the Super Bowl. My honest analysis: Poles has to make this move. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, we sacrificed draft capital. But when was the last time we had an opportunity to get a 24-year-old pass rusher in his prime? Nick Bosa is not available. Myles Garrett isn't moving. TJ Watt is in Pittsburgh for life. Thibodeau is that piece that transforms mediocre defenses into championship-level defenses. With him, Sweat, and Odeyingbo, we'd have the best edge rush rotation in the NFC North, possibly the entire NFC. The question isn't whether we should make this trade. The question is whether Poles has the courage to bet big when he has the chance to create something special. And when you thought we were done with major news, here comes the political bombshell that's going to change everything for the Chicago Bears organization over the next decade. J.B. Pritzker just announced he will run for a 3rd term as governor of Illinois in 2026. And this, my Bears friends, is potentially devastating for our dreams of a new stadium. Let me walk you through everything that's happened, because this story is more complex than it appears on the surface. It all started in 2023 when the Bears purchased the 326-acre property in Arlington Heights for $197 million. It was the most aggressive move the McCaskey family had made in decades. Plan was ambitious: a closed-dome stadium with a capacity of 65,000 fans. An entertainment complex, restaurants, hotels, possibly even a casino. Estimated cost: $5 billion for the entire project, with $3.2 billion just for the stadium. But where was that money going to come from? The McCaskies, as rich as they are, don't have $5 billion in cash. Forbes estimates their net worth at $6 billion, but that includes the value of the team, properties, investments. Liquid money for a project like this simply doesn't exist. Then the political lobbying began. Kevin Warren, who had navigated similar situations in Minnesota with the Vikings, started working with Illinois legislators to create a public incentives package. In the spring session of 2025, 3 bills were introduced that would have been game changers for the Bears. The first would have created a special development zone in Arlington Heights with massive tax benefits. The second would have allowed municipal bonds to finance infrastructure around the stadium. The third would have given tax credits for construction and job creation. What happened to these bills? They died in committees. They didn't even reach a floor vote. And why? Because Pritzker's office made it clear they wouldn't support them without substantial benefits for taxpayers. That phrase, substantial benefits for taxpayers, is political code for we want ownership stake or revenue sharing. Basically, Illinois wanted to be a project partner, not just a financer. The McCaskies said no, and I understand them. Why would they give a percentage of ownership of an asset that is worth $6 billion to politicians who will be in power for a maximum of 8 years? Here we arrive at the standoff that defined the entire situation in 2025. Warren bet, I believe that Pritzker wouldn't run for re-election in 2026. There were rumors that the governor had presidential ambitions for 2028, that he would use 2026 to position himself nationally. That bet just completely blew up. Pritzker not only announced he's running for 2026, but reaffirmed his commitment to fiscal responsibility. Exactly the 2 words Kevin Warren didn't want to hear. What does this mean practically? First, the construction timeline is completely destroyed. The Bears wanted to begin construction by the end of 2025 to open in 2028. Without state help for infrastructure, roads, utilities, public transportation, that timeline is impossible. Second, and this is crucial, costs are going to explode. If the Bears have to fully finance infrastructure from their pocket, we're talking about an additional $1.5 billion easily. Roads, electrical grid, water systems, sewage, everything. Third, financing becomes a nightmare. Without state tax breaks, the Bears will have to secure private loans for a much larger project percentage. That means higher interest rates, less favorable terms, more financial risk. What are the real options now? Option 1, the McCaskies finance everything themselves. Possible, but it would mean massive leveraging of the team as collateral. Risky for a family that has always been financially conservative. Option 2, they find private partners. But that means giving project equity to external investors. The McCaskies have maintained total control of the organization for 100 years. Will they change that now? Option 3, they stay at Soldier Field and negotiate a massive renovation with the city of Chicago. The problem is that Soldier Field has fundamental limitations that can't be fixed. There's no space to expand, no area for complementary development. Option 4, they wait until after 2026 and pray for a more business-friendly governor to win the elections. But that means at least 4 more years of delay. My honest prediction, the Bears will seriously explore the option of private partners. They will maintain majority ownership, but will give 20 to 30% of the project to investors who can provide the necessary capital. You know what's most frustrating about all this? That other markets like Nashville, Las Vegas, Los Angeles have secured incredible public deals for their stadiums. But Illinois, with its history of political corruption and fiscal irresponsibility, has become gun-shy about any large public project. This decision by Pritzker not only affects the stadium, it affects revenue generation, fan experience, competitive advantage, everything. A new stadium in Arlington Heights would have put the Bears among the top 5 revenue-generating teams in the NFL, staying at Soldier Field keeps them in the middle of the pack. It's a decision that will impact this franchise for decades, and it's completely out of football operations control. Kevin Warren could be the best CEO in the world, but he can't change political reality in Illinois. So there you have it, 3 pieces of news that aren't just headlines. They're decisions that will shape the future of our Chicago Bears for years. And I want to hear exactly what you think about each of them. About Reeves-Maybin. Is it worth betting on a player coming off a serious injury when we already have 9 linebackers? Or is his special teams experience exactly what Richard Hightower needs to elevate our special teams unit? About Thibodeau. This is the $25 million question, literally. Would you sacrifice a second round and give a mega contract to complete our defensive line? Or do you prefer to develop young talent like Austin Booker and Dominique Robinson? And about the stadium, are you willing for the McCaskies to bring in private partners if it means finally getting a world-class stadium? Or do you prefer they keep 100% ownership and stay at Soldier Field for another 10 years? These aren't easy questions, and there are no right or wrong answers. But they're the decisions that will define whether we continue to be mediocre or finally make the leap to championship contention. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. But don't give me one-liner answers. I want arguments. I want analysis. I want you to convince me why your position is correct. This community we're building is smarter than most experts on TV. If this kind of deep analysis is what you want, if you value content that goes beyond superficial hot takes, then I need you to do something for me. Give this video a like so YouTube knows this content has value. But more importantly, subscribe to the channel, because we will continue to cover every move, every rumor, every decision that affects our Bears, from the first day of training camp to the last game of the season. When Ryan Poles moves pieces, we'll be here explaining exactly what it means. When news arrives from Hollis Hall, we'll be the first to analyze the implications. When there is political drama affecting the team, we will connect all the dots. This community is for serious fans, for people who understand that football is more than what happens on Sundays. It's business, it's politics, it's strategy, it's psychology. It's everything that makes this sport fascinating. Join this family officially. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and get ready, because tomorrow we will have exclusive analysis about Caleb Williams' first impressions at minicamp. Bear down, Chicago, and see you in the next video, where we will continue to build the best Bears content on all of YouTube.